Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. We are pleased to have Sonny Searles with us today. Mr. Searles will sign the ceremony for the benefit of the hearing impaired. Dr. John Wheeler, one of our university chaplains, will deliver the invocation.
Dear Lord, more wonderful than the day or the occasion are the ones we seek to honor here. They are young and inexperienced, it's true, but they're smart and willing to work, else they would not be here. Lord, provide openings and occupations for them. They are our future, and so we present them to the world with a bit of fear and trepidation, yet with the knowledge that they are better prepared than we were to alter the destiny of this world for good. Qualify them for doing good by being good. And somehow, as long ago you turned their eyes and ideals to the more ethereal elements of your universe, so keep them gazing onward, upward, and outward. And may they never quit reaching for the stars, but always quest for that which can bring life and love and hope to this world. And we pray it in your eternal name. Amen. It is with great sadness that two of our students and graduates could not be with us today. At this time, I would like to share a moment of silence in honor of Steve Beaumont and Todd Landry. They are much loved, and their presence are greatly missed. Let us pause.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Embry-Riddle's Fall 1999 graduation ceremony. It is a great pleasure to welcome the families and friends of the guests, graduates, community friends, and our distinguished guests to the most important and probably the most anticipated event in our academic calendar, graduation. Now I am pleased to introduce the Chancellor of Embry-Riddle's Daytona Beach campus, Dr. Thomas Conley. Dr. Conley.
Thank you, Dr. Raff, and good morning, everyone. Now, please join me in welcoming Ambassador Edward Stimson to our campus. Ambassador Stimson is no stranger to Daytona Beach. He served on Embry-Riddle's Board of Trustees for 24 years and was chairman of the board from 1987 through 1995. He was also a member of numerous board committees. He has been described by his colleagues as an extremely hard worker who has a remarkable grasp of the issues at hand and has access to a list of very influential people. This past summer, President Clinton named Dr. Stimson the U.S. Ambassador representing the United States of America on the Council of the International Civil Aviation Organization, an organization that sets world standards for 185 nations in the areas of air safety, navigation, environment, and security. He has chaired the Be a Pilot program, an industry-wide education and research program designed to increase the number of people learning how to fly. He has served as Assistant Administrator to the FAA and has had significant experience in international aviation. He was the President of the General Aviation Manufacturers Association for 25 years and served as the group's Vice Chairman from 1996 through 1999. Ambassador Stimpson's honors include the U.S. Department of Transportation's Meritorious Achievement Award, the FAA's Meritorious Service Award, and its Decoration for Exceptional Service, and the Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy. The National Aeronautic Association selected him as one of the 6 recipients of the 1997 Elder Statesman of Aviation Award. It is obvious that Ambassador Stimpson has contributed significantly to the aviation industry and is highly regarded among his colleagues and peers. Ambassador Stimpson holds a master's degree in public administration from the University of Washington and a bachelor's degree in government from Harvard College. In 1974, Embry-Riddle presented him with an honorary doctorate in aviation management. Now, if you would, please join me in welcoming Ambassador Edward Stimpson back to our campus.
Good morning, President Epps, Embry-Riddle faculty, alumni, trustees, parents, and friends. What an honor to address the last Embry-Riddle graduating class in the last year before 2000. Hey. You know, as former chairman and Embry-Riddle trustee, I've had the pleasure of attending a number of commencements. Attending graduations and giving out diplomas was one of the best things and most fun things that I did as board chairman. I've also observed that the graduates want their degrees and not a long speech. Consequently, I will honor your wishes. Recently, I read the commencement address that the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, Alan Greenspan, gave at Harvard. He told the class that he had planned to offer some useful investment advice. However, he had been dissuaded by his staff when they informed him that those who had been paying tuition and contributing to the endowment fund had little left to contribute. So you may feel the same way. But whether or not Mr. Greenspan's comments apply to this audience, you have already made one of the most important investments of your life by attending and graduating from Embry-Riddle. Your portfolio is your degree from the university and the time that you have spent here. Now, Embry-Riddle truly is a very special place in this universe of higher education. Everyone is here because of a bond with aviation. And as this university continues to grow and its reputation becomes even better known throughout the world, your degree will become more valuable every year. When I first joined the board over 25 years ago, the president's office was in an old World War II Quonset hut. No field house, no basketball team, no engineering building, no new dorm complex, no chapel, and the list goes on and on. Graduates of this era are really impressed when they come back to the campus today and the progress that Embry-Riddle has made, both its physical plant and, most importantly, in the quality of education that you receive here. And they too agree that their degree from Embry-Riddle is becoming more valuable every year. Yesterday, December 17th, marked the anniversary of the Wright brothers' flight at Kill Devil Hill in 1903. You know, this flight really let the genie out of the bottle, and there's so much more to come in aviation. Each of you in this class today have the opportunity to contribute and be part of yet unknown, undreamed of aeronautical developments in the next century. And so working closely together, the government industry have been able to achieve a constantly improving safety record while traffic has continued to grow. Just think, this year alone, as one indicator, about 650 million people will be enplaned by the U.S. airlines. And this will be close to 1 billion in about 10 years from now. And by this number growing, we have already seen delays in congestion. And we've seen major challenges facing government and the airlines and consumers in accommodating growth as well as maintaining an outstanding safety record. And importantly for you and the faculty and the graduates, Embry-Riddle is highly involved in helping try and find solutions and meeting the challenges as we seek better ways to do business in the future. Today, the often used word globalization of our aviation system is being rapidly propelled by this information technology age. And this is another thing that wasn't around 25 years ago at Embry-Riddle. And it's fundamentally changing the way business is conducted in a manner just not even foreseen a few years ago. And with the explosion of this information technology and the ability to communicate with each other on the worldwide internet, new opportunities are constantly being opened up. And so consequently, aviation is going to be even more important, not only bringing people together in the future, but also delivering the goods and services. You know, you think of the success story of Fred Smith. Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx, just 1973, when he started FedEx with 14 small airplanes, delivering just 186 packages to 25 cities, now delivering over 5 million packages a year to virtually every country of the world. And new customers are being created every day by opportunities like this, and then the new high-tech, fast-cycle economy that we see. Firms like Dell Computer, now, delivering their inventory 6 to 8 days, while some of their competitors are 60 to 90 days. And the things that are going on in this whole e-commerce that we see, and the effectiveness of the internet and directly related to a whole different way that we're doing business. So as this global economy grows, new challenges are also created. Now, we've seen trade disputes. It's not all, honey and roses. We see things like, beef hormones and bananas as our economy grows internationally. In aviation, we see, lesser publicized things like battles over environmental standards, hush kits, and certification of our products abroad. So consequently, if aviation is really to achieve the globalization that we all foresee it, it is imperative that we work through international organizations and establish the rules which are accepted by all nations. It's crucial that they have this international framework, not only for aviation safety, but also to establish a level playing field. Now, the International Civil Aviation Organization, who I have the honor to represent the United States government at, really is dedicated to safety and security. And one of the first steps that ICAO did when it was created in 1944 was to ratify that English would be the common language in all air traffic controllers and pilots. And you can imagine the mess we would be in today if landing at Kennedy Airport we had 10 different languages and 10 different controllers and pilots talking to each other. So ICAO is trying to put the international ground rules together, and it is a specialized agency of the United Nations composed of 185 nations, and we're working on things like satellite navigation, aviation security, noise and emissions, and auditing safety programs of various nations throughout the world. A 24-hour operations center has been set up for Y2K. In fact, this goes into business December 28th to see what's happening in Y2K throughout the whole world. And I'll be there New Year's Eve, so feel safe. If any of you want to join me, you're welcome to be in Montreal. But like many other organizations and companies, ICAO is challenged to make sure that its standards reflect the fast pace of aviation development. And if you think it's difficult to reach consensus at Embry-Riddle on issues, you see what it's like when you have 185 nations. But we all share one major objective of safety and security. And so keeping up with technology is important to the entire spectrum of aviation, including Embry-Riddle. And I think this is another thing that's important in your education, that Embry-Riddle has really tried and is out in front on many of the technology issues. And if you're not on this leading edge today, you're going to be in trouble in this global environment. Now, you've been well prepared, to face this environment. And that is why over 125 companies, this is impressive, I think, to parents and friends particularly, 125 companies attended Career Day a few weeks ago, and why ERAU graduates are wanted by industry. And I understand this class may be setting records as the number of you that are getting jobs out there in this economy, and most importantly, I understand starting salaries are at an all-time high. So congratulations going into the year 2000. Now, whether you're going to be designing aircraft of the future, or making power plants more efficient and environmentally friendly, designing software on new avionics, flying for the airlines or corporate aviation, utilizing your business degree, or serving in our nation's armed forces, or in the FAA or in NASA, now you're challenged to keep up in this fast-paced, fast-moving world. If you relax, if you let down, watch out, because you'll be behind the power curve. So as we continue moving in this new economy, now we've got to think about individual values too. It's imperative that individual values be recognized and respected. And we must be sensitive to the needs of other cultures and others throughout the world. And the number of women and minorities in aviation must be increased. Again, Embry-Riddle is taking a leadership position in efforts to help develop and improve this industry-wide challenge. And this is something, values and minorities and diversities, this is just something that isn't going to be downloaded from the internet. But it takes a substantial effort and time. And human respect and contact are fundamental to our way of life and for building a better world for the future. And we cannot ignore this despite the technology and the safety and the security and all these other things that we talk about in building a better world. Last week, I attended an international conference in Chicago, which was attended by over 900 people throughout the world, including 40 ministers from different countries. Secretary of Transportation had invited this group together to talk about an action plan on a worldwide basis for the future, whether it be airline rights or regulations or safety and security. And one of the highlights of this meeting, which I want to tell you about, were the remarks of L. Welch Pope, a person who had attended a similar meeting in 1944 in Chicago in the very same hotel, which had developed the Chicago Convention, which had helped establish its original rules. He is now over 100 years old, still drives his car, and he gave a speech which was a hit of the whole meeting. But he closed with a phrase in his speech at lunch one day: Godspeed, may the future be your friend. And likewise, may the future be your friend too, and good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Stimson, for your kind words of advice to our graduates. And now I'd like to invite Dr. George Ebbs, President of Embry-Riddle, to come to the podium for a special presentation.
Good morning. I was struck listening to Ambassador Stimson about the significance of today. It's a very important day for all of you, this wonderful Embry-Riddle family and your families, and it's certainly a wonderful day for us. But I was struck by looking at two things that are occurring today. One, we're losing and gaining a temporary family, and we're also losing a member of what I would consider to be our permanent family, our recent speaker, Ambassador Stimson. Let me tell you why this is important to us. He's been with us as a board member, as a friend, as a counselor to this university, as he said, for almost 25 years. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University recognizes individuals who've made a significant contribution to aviation by presenting them with one of our highest honors, the Eagle of Aviation Award. This award is on the recommendation of our faculty and the Board of Trustees. This morning, we are particularly pleased to acknowledge Ambassador Stimson for his extensive and distinguished career in aviation, his many years of service to aviation education in general, and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in particular, and for his continued worldwide example of professionalism and excellence. Ambassador Stimson's service on the Embry-Riddle Board of Trustees began in April of 1965. He helped us through some very difficult times. He met some exceedingly difficult challenges. He unselfishly served until the spring of this year, 1999, 24 years. He served, as Dr. Connolly mentioned, on many numerous board committees, and as chairman of the Board of Trustees for 8 years. And during that period, we saw a lot of things happen. Ambassador Stimson was active in the recruitment of our third president, Dr. Stephen Sleever. The chapel was built. The board approved the bond issue, which gives us today the Lehman Engineering Center, the field house, the instructional center. And significant expansion took place on our Prescott, Arizona campus. And importantly, Ed was a catalyst for attracting and enervating many key and influential people to our Board of Trustees. His record of accomplishments as president and vice chair of the General Aviation Manufacturers Association from 1970 to 1999 is phenomenal and will probably never be equaled. He was responsible for, some say single-handedly, the passage of the General Aviation Reform Bill, an extremely important piece of legislation which breathed new life in the general aviation aircraft industry. His positive influence on all of aviation is well known and greatly respected throughout the world. As Russ Meyer, chairman of Cessna, said in presenting the Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy to Ed last year in Washington, and I'm paraphrasing here, Ed is a man who has dedicated his career and practically his soul to the growth of an industry which has become an essential part of the world's aviation transportation system. Ed and general aviation are inseparably linked. He has gained the respect and the support of Congress on both sides of the aisle, which is clearly a reflection of his professionalism. Others have said that meeting Ed Stimson in Washington became a rite of passage, and that untold numbers of congressmen, senators, trade association employees and the like, Capitol Hill staffers and aviation reporters, all, they couldn't hold these jobs more than a few weeks before someone introduced them to Ed Stimson. General aviation is alive and well today because of the persistent and inspired efforts of this one man, Ed Stimson. Ed, in honor of your inspirational leadership and your recognition that the strong future for aviation is built on strong education, and for all the warmth and friendship you've given to this particular institution, Embry-Riddle, we at Embry-Riddle proudly present you, Ambassador Stimson, with the Eagle of Aviation Award.
Thank you very much, George. It's a great honor to get this, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
At this time, it's my pleasure to recognize several distinguished groups of students. First, Embry-Riddle is fortunate to have several armed forces commissioning programs active on the Daytona Beach campus. The Air Force ROTC detachment has the largest elective enrollment of any civilian institution in the country, while the Army ROTC detachment is rated at the top of 2% of the nation. Some of our students also join the Navy and Marine Corps through off-campus programs. We are extremely proud of our graduates who have become the new second lieutenants in our nation's armed forces. Will the new lieutenants please stand at this time and be recognized? Please be seated. Continuing our recognition of the special achievements, we wish to present the graduates who are completing their degrees with honors. They will be recognized individually when their names are announced as they cross the stage to receive their diplomas. As a group, graduates wearing white coats have achieved grade point averages of between 3.50 and 3.69 and are graduating cum laude with honors. Will these students please stand and be recognized? Graduates wearing red cords have achieved grade point averages of between 3.70 and 3.89 and are graduating magna cum laude with great honors. Will these students please stand and be recognized? Graduates wearing gold cords have earned a grade point average of between 3.90 and 4.0 and are graduating summa cum laude with highest honors. Will these students please stand and be recognized? Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Kathy Diener, Dean of Students, for a special presentation.
Each commencement and outstanding graduating senior is selected to receive the Chancellor's Award. Candidates for this award of distinction are selected on the basis of academic excellence, campus activities, and contributions to the university and local community. These students are leaders who challenge others around them to think, to question, and to act, and are recommended by representatives of the faculty, the staff, and the student body. Nomination for this honor reflects campus-wide recognition of outstanding accomplishments. Settling on a list of finalists was difficult, and selecting a recipient means to deny some of our finest students the recognition they deserve. At this time, I would like to ask the three finalists to please stand and be recognized. They represent the very best at Embry-Riddle. They are Mark A. Bailey, Robert A. Byrne, and Robert T. Ungerman III. Chancellor Connolly, if you would please join me.
I'm very pleased today to announce the senior who is receiving the Chancellor's Award. Would Robert A. Ungerman please come forward? Robert is graduating today with a Bachelor of Science degree in Engineering Physics. Come on up, Robert. Magna cum laude with a cumulative grade point average of 3.89. We're not done yet. Robert has been an active participant and distinguished student leader throughout his Embry-Riddle experience. He's been on the Dean's List every semester. He has attended Embry-Riddle on an Air Force ROTC scholarship. His honors, recognition, and awards are numerous. He was awarded the Engineering Physics Outstanding Student Award, the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross Award for Air Force ROTC, and placed third in the National American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics Design Competition. He's a member of the Omicron Delta Kappa Leadership Honor Society, nationally recognized Precision Rifle Drill Team, Volleyball Club, Astronomy Club, Riddle Riders Motorcycle Club, Riddle, and several intramural sports teams. He's also an active volunteer with the Halifax Humane Society and the MS Society. Robert also worked with local high school students to prepare them for further leadership roles. Robert will be commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force today. He's been selected for the highly competitive Euro-NATO Joint Jet Pilot Training Program. Upon completion of that training, he'll be assigned to fly fighter aircraft for the United States. His long-range goals include serving as a test pilot in the Air Force and becoming a member of NASA's flight program. Robert clearly exemplifies well-rounded, exceptional Embry-Riddle student leader. I am pleased to recognize his many academic, professional, and community achievements by presenting him with this award. Congratulations, Robert, on receiving the Chancellor's Award for your outstanding leadership and scholarship, and best wishes for continued success in your career. Robert, come on over here, please.
It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the president of the senior class, Eric Keenan. Eric?
Family, friends, faculty and staff, distinguished guests, and seniors. Good morning. Well, we're done. We all graduated from high school and we thought we were ready for anything. Yeah, right. Now we're graduating from college. And maybe, just maybe, we're actually ready to tackle some of those challenges that are staring us in the face. If we're not, we better get ready in a hurry because those loans are only deferred for another 6 months. But seriously, we've all worked very hard to get to this point. Now we need to work even harder to make it pay off. We've invested too much time and effort into our respective degrees to not make them pay off. Our collective passion for aviation makes this university and all of our degrees even more special and meaningful. I'd like to share with you an email that I received as a freshman. I think you'll be surprised at how much it relates to all of us. It was simply entitled, College. College is about learning. It's not as simple as learning whatever is being taught in your general education classes. It's about learning how to listen, how to speak, and how to think. Learning who we are and who our friends are and the type of people we want as friends. Learning how to trust our innermost feelings and how to find those feelings in the first place. It's about learning what's really important to us and what we could really care less about. College is about learning how to tolerate, how to accept, how to like, and how to love. Learning how to give as well as to receive, and how to trust that everything will work itself out in the end. It's about learning that your mom and dad actually do have the right answer sometimes, and that your kid sister isn't such a dumb little kid anymore. College is about learning how to treat people as people, and not as stereotypes. Learning how to achieve, how to succeed, and how to accomplish. It's about learning how to come in first and still be proud, and about coming in last and learning to admit you could have done better. It's about learning that boredom is simply laziness of the mind. College is about learning how to pack a bag, and how to pack a car, and how to pack a room full of way too much stuff. Learning that people probably like us a lot more than they'll ever tell us, and that it's our responsibility to make sure our friends know how much we appreciate them. It's about learning that doing what we're supposed to do isn't enough. We need to put forth twice as much effort in order to fully grasp what's sitting in front of us. It's about learning how to make people smile. College is about learning how to miss people enough not to stick them in the past, and how to not miss them so much that it keeps us from moving into the future. Learning how to motivate yourself and how to motivate others. Learning what the phrase make do means, and how to use it so it seems like you're not just making do. College is about learning how to live. After this, it makes you realize just how much we've all changed, how much time we've spent here, and how much we will change in the future. We may have completed our degrees, but we still have a lot of learning left to do, in our minds and in our hearts. We have all at one point or another gone through difficult times during our college careers. But thanks to our friends and families, we've made it through those times and managed to move forward with our lives. It will be exciting and sometimes very scary to move on to this new phase in our lives. We just need to be confident that everything we have learned will help us through the challenging times ahead, and that the people we've come to depend on for help will still be there when we need them. In closing, on behalf of the entire senior class, I would like to thank the faculty and staff that have helped us all through a very challenging portion of our lives. I would also like to extend the class's deepest condolences to the family and friends of Todd Landry and the other victims of that terrible tragedy. They are here today in all of our hearts. To all the newly commissioned officers in the United States Army and Air Force who are graduating with us today, thank you. Not only for what you have done, but what you will be doing for us in the future. Your dedication and love for this country is appreciated by us all. And last, to the fall class of 1999, congratulations and best of luck to you all. I will leave you with these words. Never lose sight of your dreams, because they're what make life worth living. Thank you.
Chancellor Conley, at this time, the faculty of Daytona Beach campus is pleased to present the candidates for graduate degrees.
Erica Marie Hoagland, with distinction. Francisco Rafael Perez Moreno, with distinction. Professor Howard Curtis will present the master's candidates from the Aerospace Engineering Department. Candidate for the degree of Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering, Hiroko Tada. Candidates for the degree of Master of Aerospace Engineering, Nicholas Arcout, with distinction. David Julian Fermento, with distinction. Professor Bruce Chadbourne will present the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration in Aviation. Youssef Mohammed Al-Gharari. Sergio Da Silva, with distinction. Alvaro Dumay. Woody Aaron Green. Prayudi Harley. Jennifer Jacobs Hodge. Sheila K. Miller. Dafe Ojedi. Suzanne Michelle Uten. Pamela L. Payne. Anthony Todd Smith. Gilles Bolton Trigo. Professor John Williams will present the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Human Factors and Systems. Daniela Krachkunova. Ungol Lapatnit. Professor Sohail Kajurnia will present the candidates for the degree of Masters of Software Engineering. Rayad J. Ab. Cheryl Patrice Johnson, Upsilon Pi Epsilon. Richard Allen Uten. Christopher Lloyd Rummel. Shaul Sachs. This concludes the master's candidates from the Daytona Beach campus.
I am pleased now to introduce Dr. Leon Flancher, Chancellor of the Extended Campus, to present the Extended Campus candidates for degrees. Dr. Chancellor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Extended Campus oversees residence centers in the United States and throughout the world. We are pleased to have a number of our students and faculty here today to participate with the Daytona Beach campus in their commencement activities. The faculty of the Extended Campus is pleased to present the candidates for graduate degrees. Assisting in recognizing these degrees will be Dr. William Getter, Dean of Academics for the College of Career Education.
Candidates for the degree of Masters of Aeronautical Science, Alfonso Diaz del Castillo, Andrews Air Force Base, D.C. Dudley Gibson, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Christopher Campbell Hacker, Sky Harbor, Arizona. John Eric Lewis Hunter Stewart, Georgia Army Airfield. Lieutenant John Thomas Morgan, Center for Distance Learning. Michael Paul Shannon, with distinction, Hope Air Force Base, North Carolina. Wayne Devonhan Taylor Jr., with distinction, Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina. Adolis Torres, Randolph Air Force Base, Texas. Claudia Ann Ventura Abbott, with distinction, Indianapolis, Indiana. Richard Curtis Wheeler, with distinction, Center for Distance Learning. Mark Williams. Candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration in Aviation: Oscar Kareem Ariane, Miami, Florida. William Mark Fisher, Corpus Christi, Texas, Naval Air Station. Michael Griffin, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Dictie Levant, Missouri, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Wanda Snell Peacock, Jacksonville, Florida, Naval Air Station. Anthony Russell Spalding, Miami, Florida. Alan Todd White, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Candidates for the degree of Masters of Science in Technical Management: William Patrick Branch, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Frederick M. Douglas, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. John F.I. Falcao, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Stephen Gerard Hirschberger, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Alan F. Jessup, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. James Clement Lawler, Jr., Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Thomas Michael McCullough, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. J. D. Pruden, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. John Michael Pujanzon, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Wayne Thatcher Reinhardt, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. William Patrick Reel, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Robert Rowan, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Alejandro C. Russo, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Jerry Lee Sproul, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Val Kenton Von Heater, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Kevin Scott Woodruff, with distinction, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. This concludes the candidates for master's degrees.
At this time, the faculty of Daytona Beach campus is pleased to present the candidates for undergraduate degrees. The department chairs for each of the degree programs will present the diplomas.
Professor Michael Wiggins will present the candidates from the Aeronautical Science Department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Science: Joseph David Alvarado, Senior Class Counsel. Daniel Nicholas Arnold. Carlos Alberto Balderas. Christopher A. Black, Who's Who. Eric Daniel Valend. Leah Ann Bluestein. David Christopher Booth. Chad Robert Bortel. Luke Michael Bryant. Russell William Burgess, cum laude. Anna Veronique Bush, cum laude. Jeffrey Byron Butler. Mark James Butler. Jose L. Carrasquillo. John Henler Siganovich, Senior Class Counsel. Stephen Richard Klein, Senior Class Counselor. Brian Edward Cole. Courtney Ann Colmus, cum laude. Brian Joseph Connors. David Orion Craig, cum laude. Luke Howard Davis, Senior Class Counselor. Brian Christopher Dees. Andrew Frank Dykle. Christopher Clark Dole, magna cum laude. Matthew Byron Duff. Timothy Allen Dyer, Alpha Omicron Alpha Honor Society, magna cum laude. Daryl Stephen Ellsberg. John A. Emhoff. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army, Derek Martin Fisher. Jeremy Tyler Freismuth, cum laude. Wendy Louise Gillespie, cum laude. Gabriel T. Garcia. Daisy Marie Goldsby, Alpha Omicron Alpha Honor Society. Christopher J. Guzman. Jeffrey Todd Hatfield. Leonard W. Harmon. Javier Heredia, Alpha Omicron Alpha Honor Society. William Alberto Hernandez. Edmund Ho. Jonathan Lee Holbrook. Mark Jakubowski. Nathaniel Timothy Jones. Jae Yu Jung. Richard Corey King. Lance Kober. Darrell Labine. Daniel F. Lawlor. Michael Thomas Leeper. Christopher David Lanowitz. Noel James Leslie, cum laude. Michelle Christine Lloyd. Matthew Allen Lorman. Catherine Louise MacDonald. Allison Ruth Markey. Thomas Vincent Majeri Jr. Valerie Dawn McLam, Senior Class Counsel. Jeffrey Scott Mellon. Genevieve Arlene Mickelson. Mark Dieter Novoselsky, magna cum laude. Edwin Van Ockenberg, cum laude. Michael P. Orlowski, Alpha Omicron Alpha Honor Society. Nicola May Payne. Jorge Andres Racines. Matthew Thomas Reeves. Scott Joseph Wren. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army, Luke Richards. Young Ho Rowe. Jonathan Barcraft Rohr. Christopher Shane Lee Sanger. Aaron Andrew Snyder. Alistair McSporin Stanton. Andrew Charles Stewart. Joshua David Stover. Nadia Avelina Sai, magna cum laude. Jessica Tess Thomas. Michael Todd Toth, Alpha Omicron Alpha Honor Society. Mark Leonard Van Rotz, cum laude. Carlos Villanueva. James Fenton Wallace. Jesse Ronald Ward. Bradley Goodman Weeks. Joseph Paisley Wells, cum laude. Young Min Yu. John Christian Zier. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Professional Aeronautics: Eric Hamilton Aileen. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Brian Robert Helton, magna cum laude. Nima Kagani, magna cum laude. Abraham Adel Fatah Mahmoud. Baker Youssef Mohammed. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Marines, James Andrew Nelson. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Jonathan Edwin Stout. Professor Howard Curtis will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering. Julie Allison Badera. Anthony P. Bartoloni. John Andrew Bartos, Senior Class Counsel, Sigma Gamma Tau. Robert Allen Byrne, magna cum laude, Sigma Gamma Tau. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army, Sarah E. Cardenas, Senior Class Vice President. Luis Angel Cariano Ortega, Senior Class Counsel. Jeremy Lee Davis. Michelle Danielle Dorfman, Senior Class Counsel, Sigma Gamma Tau. Jorge Adrian Espinoza, Senior Class Counsel. Mohammed Ali Farouk. Arismel Feliciano. Alexios Iliopoulos. Carl Keith Charlebrink, Sigma Gamma Tau. Kashif S. Khan. Eric Kinney, Senior Class President. Sen Hak Lee. Apurva Ashwin Kumar Mehta. Bao Razabole Mozini. Rafael Castro Padro. Barent Dikran Panasian. David Pintel. Javier Quintana Nino. Serge Negoyo Sala Diakanda. Stacy Ann Sklarzik. Jason Suarez. Patrick John Swain. Inaki Tejero, cum laude. Justin Joel Williams, cum laude. Professor Robert Oxley will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Studies. Craig Edward Krebs. Troy Ryan Christoph, Senior Class Counselor. Bridget Ann Locke. Najee Malik, Senior Class Counsel. Sally Lorraine Marshall. Michael Joseph Meehan, Jr. Matthew Vernon Pierce. Kara Michelle Stemberger. Shauna Sutton Bowling. Danielle Marie Woodlock. Baktash Hadim Zaire. Professor John Williams will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Applied Experimental Psychology. Mark A. Dayton. Beth Lauren Joseph, Senior Class Counsel. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Robert Dean Tackett. Loriana Torres Pujols, cum laude. Darren Paul Wilson. Professor Bruce Chadbourne will present the candidates from the Business Administration Department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Business Administration. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army, Lee E. Ambrose. Michael Peter Anthony Anacarico. Mark Anthony Bailey, Delta Mu Delta Honor Society, who's who, cum laude. Hugo David Bravo. Lyndon Ian Brown. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Jose Antonio Correa III, magna cum laude, who's who. Michael J. Dowd. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army, Hector Fernandez, Senior Class Counsel, who's who. Daniel Michael Flugstead. Stefan Gassauer, who's who, Phi Beta Lambda. Jonathan David Harris, who's who. Michelle Lee Hatton. David Michael Poulet. Sung Juan Huang. Alan Craig Johnston. Danny Kang. Micah Isaac Kramer, Senior Class Counsel, who's who. Eduardo La Sala, Magnum Cum Laude, who's who. Carson Robert Lyons, Cum Laude, who's who, Phi Beta Lambda Honor Society. Jeffrey Calvin Mankowski, Magnum Cum Laude. James Franklin Martin, Jr. Peter K. Stelmack, Magnum Cum Laude, who's who, Delta Mu Delta Honor Society. Hugh Park, Cum Laude, Delta Mu Delta Honor Society, Phi Beta Lambda Honor Society, who's who. Adam Daniel Radaba. Andrew Patella Sequela. Solange Freno, Magnum Cum Laude, who's who, Phi Beta Lambda Honor Society, Delta Mu Delta. Christopher Forthon, Cum Laude. Camille Danushka Tilakaratna. Brett Curtis Warnick. Diana Barbara Bashuk, Cum Laude, Phi Beta Lambda Honor Society, who's who. Thomas Tyler Webb, Phi Beta Lambda Honor Society, who's who. Candidates for the degree of Associate in Science and Aviation Business Administration, Tracy Raymond Cogdell. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Management, Vanetta LaShaw Moten. Jennifer M. Rice, Cum Laude. Ken Tanaka. Greta Denise Traylor. Sherry Noel Williams, Magnum Cum Laude, Delta Mu Delta Honor Society. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Maintenance Management, Mossad Marzouk Al-Rashidi. Johnny Remy Antonio. Chaminda Narosha Gunawardnana. Guillermo Martinez Umana. Francisco J. Pacheco, Delta Mu Delta Honor Society. Omar Renee Santos, U.S. Virgin Islands. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Management of Technical Operations, Catherine Ann Urson. Dina Halawa. Rudy Danny Gilleskis. Thomas Octavio Lambert. Edgar Jack Menard. Carlos Jose Rodriguez, cum laude. Douglas MacArthur Sapia. Jason Paul Valet. Professor Sohail Kajanori will present the candidates from the Computing and Mathematics Department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Computer Science. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Virgil Andrew Carter. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Benjamin David Cook, Upsilon Pi Epsilon Honor Society. Garland Eric Davis, Senior Class Counsel. Christy Marie Maldonado. Christopher Michael Opelenik, Senior Class Counsel. Stacy Joe Urbanovich, Senior Class Secretary. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Michael Paul Zink, Upsilon Pi Epsilon Honor Society. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army, David McCoy Leach. Jeffrey Andrew Schaefer. Professor John Brannon will present the candidates from the Technology Department. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aircraft Engineering Technology, Brian Michael Hammer, Tau Alpha Pi Honor Society. Ketso Moekasi. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Technology, Lorenzo A. Casas. Sung Min Kim. Kate Tony Meraki. David Alexander Niles, cum laude, Avionics Engineering Honor Society. Su Chul Ray. Pablo A. Santos. Scott William Ciprel. Randall Scott Webb. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Avionics Engineering Technology, Asim Hussein Muhammad. Candidates for the degree of Associate in Science in Avionics Technology, Alejandro Presa. Professor Michael Williams will present the candidates from the Aviation Maintenance Technology Department. Candidate for the degree of Associate in Science in Aircraft Maintenance, Roger Neil Rothweiler. Candidates for the degree of Associate in Aviation Maintenance Technology, Todd Allen Hogan. Janelle O'Reilly. Daryl Scott Rich. Paul Zeed Reuter II. Christopher Gregory Walston. Professor John Olivero will present candidates for the degree of Bachelor or Science in Engineering Physics. Francisco M. Acevedo, summa cum laude. Alan G. Dominguez. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, David Keith Guerin, cum laude. Jose A. Lazaflores. Beth Adele Long. Courtney Suzanne McGinley. Shaiju Nair Lusu. Howard Adam Paul, magna cum laude. Alvaro F. Prieto, magna cum laude. Second Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force, Robert Theodore Ungerman III, magna cum laude, Husu, Omicron Kappa Delta Honor Society. Shannon Elizabeth Wiley, Senior Class Treasurer, Husu. Elizabeth May Yeager. This concludes the candidates for the undergraduate degrees from the Daytona Beach campus.
The faculty of the extended campus are pleased to present the candidates for the undergraduate degrees from the extended campus. Dean Getter will present their diplomas.
John Edward Summers II, Memphis, Tennessee. Candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Aviation Business Administration. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Management of Technical Operations, Mark Dominic Anullis, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Jamie Lynn Bevere, Memphis, Tennessee. Jeffrey A. Bow, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Mary Ann Ruth Medevere, Orlando, Florida. Rodney Allen Parks, Langley Air Force Base, Virginia. Sang P. Pham, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Jamie Lewis Stratman, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Ethel Jean Norwood Williamson, Memphis, Tennessee. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Professional Aeronautics. Carmelo Alamo Jr., MacDill Air Force Base, Florida. Arthur Ward Carpenter, Center for Distance Learning. Daniel Lee Carter, England Air Force Base, Florida. James Daniel Colson, magna cum laude, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Philip Dixon, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Katie Marie Engman, MacDill Air Force Base, Florida. Michael Spalding Gaillard, Atlanta Naval Air Force Station, Georgia. Francisco Antonio Garragas, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Angelia K. Golson, Memphis, Tennessee. Wesley O'Field Glover, Memphis, Tennessee. Eric Scott Hillman, magna cum laude, Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina. James Thomas Hopkins III, Jacksonville, Florida, Naval Air Station. Wendell Tracy Law, magna cum laude, Memphis, Tennessee. Michael Richard Luttrell, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Michael N. Lopez, Center for Distance Learning. Lisette Lugo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. John Edward Meade, MacDill Air Force Base, Florida. Michael J. Merrick, MacDill Air Force Base, Florida. Phil John Meyer, Fort Rucker, Alabama. Ernest Lambert Moss, Spangdahlem Air Base, Germany. Raymond Anthony Pinto, cum laude, Space Coast, Florida, Residence Center. Trent Wyan Pontow, Jacksonville, Florida, Naval Air Station. Bethoya Kizzy Powell, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Nathaniel Roberson, MacDill Air Force Base, Florida. Clifford Neal Scruggs, Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina. Adam Kristen Spencer, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Richard Michael Stillwell, Jacksonville, Florida, Naval Air Station. Milo Jackson Thornton, Memphis, Tennessee. Scott Michael Warner, cum laude, Memphis, Tennessee. Angela M. Segrang, Center for Distance Learning. Candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Professional Aeronautics, Dennis F. Weiza, Center for Distance Learning. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the presentation of candidates for degrees for the Fall 1999 Commencement Ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Mr. Gail Lemarand, a member of Embry-Riddle's Board of Trustees, who will represent the trustees in conferring the degrees. Mr. Lemarand, will you join me at the podium? Will all the candidates for the degrees please rise? On the recommendation of the faculty of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, it is my honor to present to you the candidates for graduation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so very proud to be here this morning. And we do have something in common, and I wish I were referring to age. I'm not, but we do have something in common. Earlier this year, I was honored to be one of the last trustees voted in the 20th century to this great university. And you, of course, are the last graduating class in the 20th century, and you will be remembered. And now, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer on you, as appropriate, the associate degree, the associate in science degree, the bachelor's degree, the Bachelor of Science degree, the master's degree, the Master of Science degree, with all of the rights, privileges, honors, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. Congratulations, graduates. You may now move your tassels from right to left.
Please be seated. I would like to thank Mr. Drew Rabin for announcing the graduates' names, and Mrs. Val Cruzzi, our Director of Registration for the Daytona Beach campus, for assisting us with the diplomas. I would also like to recognize the Melbourne Municipal Band under the direction of Phil Gaddy, who are providing the music for us today. The interest, dedication, and support of three groups of people play a very important part in the success of our university. The first, our Board of Trustees, Board of Visitors, and officers of the university. Will you please stand so that we may recognize you? Thank you. The individuals who have played a major role in preparing our graduates for their future careers are the faculty and staff. Will the faculty and staff please stand to be recognized? Thank you. The most honored guests here today are the families of our graduates. Their love and support have made this day possible. Will you please stand?